Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, like always, trying to figure out how you and I can live as though we are in heaven, experiencing heavenliness in these bodies on this earth at this time. And it's been a struggle because certain truths avail itself to you, and for one reason or another, it comes up against perhaps the standing of another truth that you can't understand, and so it puts you in a position to hold still until you can see clearly. And when you see clearly, then you have to break out, and if you're trying to speak to people like I try to speak to you, then I have to come back to you and share with you the clarity of what's going on. Now, ladies and gentlemen, every individual on earth has the right, in fact, the ability and the opportunity, and should trust in themselves. Now, it seems kind of ludicrous to trust in yourself in a big mixed world that you're in the middle of, and trusting that you are able to deal with any situation that you find yourself in a way that is okay with you. Now, that's kind of hard to accept. But to accept the fact that you have to respect yourself and trust yourself, and you have to look, and we all will invariably do this, look for outside support, but not in individuals, because individuals are, committed to themselves, selfishness. So where do you look? You look for the power that perhaps created the earth, created the trees, and all the stuff that you can know that man had nothing to do with. So maybe you reach out and call on that power and allow that power to guide you. Or maybe there are those that have been given special talents. Maybe there are those who have been shown something, to know something that we as citizens just don't know, as an expression of a gift that is always given to you. I was just thinking at that moment right there, I thought about how God decided that he wanted mankind to have the opportunity to see in the dark. So he gave an instrument of his creation the knowledge of electricity and how to use it for lighting. Same thing with all of the other things, the cars, the boats, the computers, and all of that. That was a gift from God, so that we could, even doctors, you heard it said that you could lay hands, according to the Bible, you could lay hands on the sick, and according to their faith, recover. Okay, so when we go around and you see preachers laying hands on the sick and they're not recovering, that means they don't have that kind of faith. But now God is not, with God's love, he's not going to leave it right there, saying that your faith has to come up to that level, or you to heck with you. No, he sent the knowledge of medicine through other individuals to bring that to. So when we lay hands on people and that faith is not there, you got something else, and you can treat them with that. And that'll hold them on to maybe later on when the faith is available. Well, when they can receive the faith or have the faith. But that, just like that happens, men walking in darkness on the earth. I mean, I'm not talking about from the sun or the electric lights now, but I'm talking about darkness in their conduct, their progressiveness, or the destruction. So God sent someone to give you some information and to live that information before you, so that you will know. These are the ones that you call preachers. I'm talking about real preachers. People exploit everything, but this is how they are known. You're talking about sheep's and wolves clothing, or wolves in sheep's clothing. But this is how they're known. Anybody can talk. You got preachers around here, billionaires, talking. You see how easily people are deceived. You see Trump came on the scene, and people start believing, and people start the conspiracy theories. I mean, they just went flying like everything. People, you see a person stop asking them a question, they'll speak on a conspiracy theory just like they are the founders of it. Everything just gone haywire. So people will believe anything. So these guys out there with richness, with ideals about making money, because this is what is required in this hell to survive, is money or its equivalent in this hell. And I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, as I started out, this is hell. There's no in between. There will either be hell here or heaven here. And we know this isn't heaven, so this is hell. This is hell, and it is incumbent upon anybody who is born again to know, and we will know by the way they walk. And Jesus Christ, according to those Christians, says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And he wasn't talking about some slave master telling you to turn the other cheek so you don't have to hit him back. He wasn't talking about some slave master that tells you that you're going to be a slave and obey your masters. No, he wasn't talking about that. He was talking about standing up for justice, standing up for what is truth, standing up for what is heavenly and divine. Even walking to the cross is divine before you give in. So that's what Jesus was saying, but the slave master didn't teach you that. You don't do that. You do anything but that. You see what the message, the true message is, that those guys that were taken into captivity from Africa and other places of the world, who said before they'd be a slave, they'd die and be buried in their grave, those were angels. People who jumped off ships and said, I can't, and these chains, no before, those were angels. The natives who decided that they were going to fight for justice, I'm not talking about people who are going to fight to take, fight to commit evil. Those are evil demons. To fight to defend is angelic. Fight to defend is angelic. If one person had pushed that cop off George Floyd's neck, that would have been angelic. But nobody could do that because they were scared of death. They didn't want to take no chance. So no angels there. And what's happening in the earth today? No angels here. No, there's no angels here. It's a bunch of bull. I don't care where you're at, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about everybody. Everybody. Now in Russia, what Russia's doing, that's a deeper room of evil. They are doing every kind of thing. And all of the places where it's like that, it says okay to that. And there are other nations who are not like that. They're talking against it. They're no better than this nation. Even though they're talking against it, they're no better, because they're evil too. They just haven't gotten to that degree yet. And talking against that is no good. You got to stop what caused that. And we who talking against it are in the position right now playing a part in its creation. So what I'm trying to say to you today, ladies and gentlemen, is that yes, I talk to you, I tell you that the Democrat seems to be proposing legislation that has a little bit more compassion for people than what the Republicans are talking about. And I tell you that if you voted for them, you would be doing yourself a favor as voting, as opposed to voting for Republicans or Trumpism. But the truth of the matter is, you're still a devil worship. You don't know it. I'm sitting there this morning and I'm listening to my spirit. And at the same time, you got people on television calling out all kinds of stuff, stuff that you can identify with, that I can identify with. I mean, I'm sitting there saying, wow. And you sit there, and especially when it comes down to black people in America, they sit there and tell you all the stuff that's been happening to Americans by Americans, black on white, and white on black. And all of this stuff is happening, always been happening, ain't got fixed, passing rules and legislation that does nothing. Then go back, now look what they're trying to do now, go back in the 50s. What the hell is this? Yes, that's exactly what it is, hell. Now where? Let me give you some idea of the angelic people. See, most of the angelic people we don't know about. Those people who refuse to be slaves, who decided to allow themselves to die rather than be a slave. We don't know who, but there are many. There are millions. I'm sure there are billions of them. I'm sure that people who stood up, like those three boys in Mississippi, well, I just call them because everybody's familiar with those down in Philadelphia, Mississippi, that were murdered for freedom fighters. The lady from Detroit murdered for freedom fighters. And all those other people, James Meredith, not James Meredith, well, it'll come back to me in a minute. The thing of it is, ladies and gentlemen, Medgar Evers, that's what I was thinking about. The thing of it is that all of this stuff is happening. And the rest of us are sitting around waiting for the world to change. Some of us are even waiting, talking about Jesus going to return, even though he said he wouldn't come back unless the church was without spots or wrinkles. but they're sitting back waiting, scared. Demons, they don't know it, but the devil just loves you to sit back there, go to church, read the scripture, talk about a scripture, sing a song, give the preacher some money so he can do whatever she want to do. You go back home and go back to work Monday, keeping the devil's thing going smooth. Nobody's standing up for what's right. What is right? This is what is right. What does it take for us here to live on this earth as though we're in heaven? Well, let's start off. The earth is given to us. We didn't build it. All of the resources necessary to do all the things that we might want to do are already here on this earth, in it, on it, above it, some seen, some unseen. That's a given. We didn't have anything to do with that. Our existence here, we didn't do this on our own. That happened out of a power outside of ourselves. And here we are with all of these needs and whatever desires and wants. We didn't create that. That came with us. And the ability to play a role in the manifestation of all of that. Each of us have something that we can do that gives us our greatest joy in doing. And by doing, we do all that we can even imagine. Not just here now, but what we can imagine. That's a gift from God. And by participating, that makes all of us eligible. Ain't no man in charge. Human beings are in charge. They decide based upon the gifts that comes through the imagination that's being introduced to the society. We determine based upon who we are, what is required to cause this manifestation, and we engage. And what for? For the human population. Ladies and gentlemen, that's peace, prosperity, freedom, and joy. Dreams being met. Your needs, your wants, and your desires at your leisure. We don't have to lie, cheat, steal, hate. All that stuff comes from living in hell. And this is where we live today, ladies and gentlemen, in hell. And when you hear these politicians on the television spending all of that money trying to get you to vote to the next party or the next person, are they telling you solutions to these problems? No. They're telling you switch from that party to this party. We can do it. We can do it. And you silly enough to believe that they who have never done it can do it. And so you sit back, keep on trusting, rather coming together and fixing it yourselves, coming up with your plans and putting somebody in there. Or, you know, look, it doesn't matter if then people are just in positions to make sure that the job that they're given to do is carried forward. And what is the job that is carried forward? To make sure that we the people on this earth. Now, I'm talking about America initially right here. That we take the stand. We do what has got to be done. And by doing, we got to deal with the rest of the world. There are going to be challenges of the changes made here in America going to challenge the rest of the world. But because we are righteous, we're going to have to do those things that's required to make sure that it spreads. We got to let the people in Guatemala and down in these southern parts of the world realize that we care about them. We got a power that we listen to, that we're going to do everything we possibly can so you can stay where you're at. You're where you're at for a particular reason. And the world needs you to be there, to continue to be there, and do the things that you would normally do there. So you can produce it. So we in the rest of the world will have a connection with you, and you have a connection with us, as opposed to running for your life from a devil. And then some other devil, who I almost forgot to tell you what I really started off with this thing about. There was some other devil going to build a moat and put alligators and snakes and tell you don't come over here because we ain't thinking about you. Walk around there talking about this is ours. Get your guns, beat them side the head. Don't be so gentle with them. That was to let us know that was evil personified. If any of us ever doubted what evil was like, Donald Trump personified evil. And you saw it being spoken, and you saw people being drawn to it like a magnet. And they're still here like a magnet, trying to spread this lie, trying to bring the destructive state of evilness like that what was happening in many parts of the world that's been denied here. They want to bring it here right now. And we are susceptible to it. We are ready to receive it. So I'm telling you today, ladies and gentlemen, what Democrats, listen to me, what you're trying to do is not good enough. It's better than what they're doing, but it's not good enough. And it's not better enough to beat them, because even though you might get in certain positions of power, you're still not going to be able to do a dead blasted thing. Why? Because the spirit of evilness is spreading all over America. All over America. And if you're not talking about a solution, whatever you're thinking about is a part of that evilness. And there is no solution that leaves somebody left out, because God don't play that. And for those Christians, Jesus Christ said, before you accept any of that stuff, go to the cross. And who's the most recognized Christian that we've ever heard about? It was what? It was Jesus Christ. It might be a fake story, but Jesus Christ. But there are some that we know of. Gandhi. Y'all don't know about Gandhi, but you do know about Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. You heard about John Brown. That's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Standing up for what's right. Somebody talking about taking you back to, taking away your vote, your ability to vote, taking away your ability to have a voice, taking away your ability to decide whether you're going to bring a kid into the world or not. When in a society would say bring the kid out and then throw him to the trash, because they're not going to do a thing about for him. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to cut out this hell. Cut out this hell. End this hell today. And, I mean, it's a small little thing. Right now, you got to think about it. But every day going forward, think about making things beautiful. And that is not bringing pain and suffering to anyone. It's bringing about change that produces life, that produces thrills, that produces chill bumps on you because you're so excited about what's going to happen to you. You feel so good. That's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Let's live. Let's live. Until next time, Eddie Marcus saying, thank you so very much for giving me this yours. Goodbye.